Microsoft Graph enables more features than just reading and writing files. And in this section, you're going to see how I can get a list of files that are trending around a user and how to get all the files that are owned by a specific user. Insights are relationships calculated using advanced analytics and machine learning techniques. And using Microsoft Graph, you can identify OneDrive documents that are trending around users. That's what we're going to take a look at in this section. We're going to do an overview of what Insights is, what Trending Insights is, what Used Insights is, and Shared Insights. Insights are relationships calculated using advanced analytics and machine learning techniques. Using Microsoft Graph, you can identify OneDrive documents trending around users. Insights are returned by the following APIs. The Trending API endpoint returns documents from OneDrive and from SharePoint sites that are trending around the user. The Used endpoint returns documents that are viewed and modified by a user. This includes documents the user used in OneDrive for Business, SharePoint, and opened as an email attachments and as link attachments from sources like Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. And the Shared endpoint that returns documents that are shared with a user. Documents can be shared as email attachments or as OneDrive for Business links sent in emails. Each endpoint is returned with a resource visualization and a resource reference complex value type. The resource visualization object contains properties such as title and preview image for some rich results. Rich relationships are connecting a user to documents that are trending around the user that are also relevant to that current user. OneDrive files and files stored in SharePoint team sites can trend around a current user. To get a list of documents that are trending around the current user, you can submit the following HTTP request to the Microsoft Graph, going to the me/insights/trending endpoint. And the request is going to return a collection of documents, each with an assigned weight that can be used to rank the relevance. You can see that listed here on the slide. You can also obtain trending files around the currently signed in user with the Microsoft Graph.net SDK. Use the following code to do this. You first get an instance of the authenticated Microsoft Graph client, and then you're going to use the insights.trending property to be able to make that request. You then can loop through all the results that you get back, and then for each resource, you can write out the visualization's type and title, including the weight, the ID, and the actual ID to the resource. The Used endpoint is a calculated insight that includes a list of documents that the user has modified. This insight returns the most relevant documents that a user has viewed or accessed. The documents returned include those found in OneDrive for Business and in SharePoint sites. To get a list of the documents recently modified or accessed by the current user, you can submit a request to the Microsoft Graph, going to the me/insights/used endpoint. And the request will return a similar response with the trending endpoint, except that each data item that's returned doesn't include a weight, and the collection will include a last used object with two properties, last access date time and last modified date time, as you can see here. You can obtain used files around the currently signed in user with the Microsoft Graph.net SDK as well using the following code. It's a very similar call to what you saw before. We're simply going to the .insights.used endpoint. Here we can then loop through the results and display the same type of data. To access insights on files in OneDrive, you'll need one of the following permissions. The specific permission required will depend on the operation that you want to do. So you have delegated permissions, which are going to be granted by users, and application permissions that can be granted by administrators.